So in this tutorial, I have already mounted the models and I made hollow maxillary and mandibular models, put them on the articulator, and we're going to start. I already verified the occlusion and everything. I can show you that in a different tutorial. So the first thing we're doing is changing the pin setting, and I kind of did this beforehand, and it's about 2 millimeters where we want. Here we're verifying it that everything's kind of open, and you see in the back it's going to be a little bit less. 1.5 is the minimal thickness. Next, we're going to survey the model. Like you would do on a regular survey, we made sure to have a nice path of draw. And here is the final survey, and you can tweak that as needed. At this point, you have to save your Blender file. I'm just saving it as video. And here I'm changing the offset. This is how tight the guard is going to be. This is what works for my printer. It might be different for yours, so you gotta adjust it as needed. Now we got rid of all the undercuts. You see it kind of changed the model a little bit. Next, we're going to mark the, here I'm actually looking at the articulator movements. You can do that on the bottom, and so that's part of how you can set the pin. Next, we're going to outline the border of the splint. And so basically, we just want to be below the undercuts, and you can add more or less retentive features, kind of however you would like there. Goes pretty quick. Get rid of that. I usually just put it right at the base of the gingival tooth interface. Close that up. Now we added an extra point here by accident. My bad. Delete that. Go to the next step. Now we fill the internal angle. That's what the splint outline will look like. Verify it, make sure you like it. Once you go past this part, you actually can't change this anymore. So this is the time to make any sort of trimming that you would like. Okay, now we're gonna add the wax rim. First, we're gonna mark all the maxillary cusps. This will be the outer edge of your splint. Next, we're going to mark the mandibular. The central fauces work fairly well. And for the anteriors, you kind of get a feel based on the person's bite where you want it. It'll vary from patient to patient. We're going to calculate the rim, look at the shell, make sure we're happy with everything. Looks pretty darn good. So then we can fuse it and commit everything. Boom. Now at this point, we're going to kind of get rid of any major overhangs, ledges, concavities. There you can kind of waste a lot of time on this, but basically I just kind of click to block out large concavities and then remesh and resmooth. That's adequate for most night guards. This takes a few seconds, don't rush. Awesome. Now we're going to set the occlusion. What I like to do is, you kind of get a feel for this as well. Made a little error here. You can remove and add points, and you'll see it'll build sort of like a, I don't know, I guess a mesh or an envelope, whatever you want to call it, of where the occlusal points will be. And you can kind of mess with this. Same thing is going to vary from patient to patient, but this looks really nice there. You can verify this, add more or less here. And now what we're going to do, since we're doing a completely flat plane, we're just going to generate a functional surface. So it'll do all the motions of the articulator, make sure there's no interferences, anything like that. This will take a bit depending how powerful your computer is. So just sit tight. If you want to turn off the animation, you can. It might bog down your computer a little bit less. But anyways, you let this play through. I'm just waiting, watching all the robots do their thing. AI, you know how it is. Just kidding, this is an AI. Okay, cool. And once that is done, you subtract that. We can verify the occlusion here. Really, really nice balanced contacts. And now we're ready to finalize the splint. This also can take a little bit depending on how powerful your computer is, but we're done. I know it looks a little rough and jagged, but it's because we're super zoomed in. Once you print it, it's actually not going to look like that at all, and you can smooth out any final edges or anything like that. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Enjoy.